Greenland hides over $1 trillion in critical minerals beneath its melting ice, while just 150 US personnel guard the most strategic missile defense post in the Arctic. If control slips, America's security and the global tech supply chain could collapse overnight. Why is the West's future suddenly hinged on this frozen frontier? The full story begins now. Greenland's ice sheet is receding faster than at any point in recorded history. As the glaciers pull back, they reveal something extraordinary: a cache of minerals valued at more than $1.1 trillion. That figure comes from assessments by the Geological Survey of Denmark and Greenland and the US Geological Survey. It is not just the sheer amount that matters, it is what is buried here. Rare earth elements, nickel, cobalt, tantalum, and lithium lie beneath the surface, locked in rock that was once unreachable. These are the building blocks of the modern world. Rare earths power the magnets inside electric vehicle motors and missile guidance systems. Nickel and cobalt form the backbone of batteries for smartphones and grid-scale energy storage. Tantalum and lithium are found in everything from advanced microchips to the control systems of next-generation fighter jets. The global appetite for these minerals is insatiable, and the world's supply chains are fragile. Today, China dominates rare earth processing and controls a majority of the world's supply. That dominance is not just economic, it is strategic. A single policy change in Beijing can send shockwaves through Western industries, from automakers to defense contractors. The United States, Europe, and Japan have all faced sudden shortages and price spikes when trade disputes flare up. Greenland's mineral reserves offer a rare chance to break that dependency. According to GeoUS, some deposits could be accessible within the next decade, as summer melt windows lengthen and extraction becomes feasible for the first time. The Kvanefjeld site alone could supply a significant share of global rare earth demand if environmental and political hurdles can be cleared. For technology manufacturers, defense planners, and governments, the stakes are clear. Whoever secures access to Greenland's minerals will shape the future of electric vehicles, renewable energy, and advanced weapons. The clock is ticking. As the ice retreats, the world's most powerful nations are racing to stake their claim, not just for profit, but for survival in a world where supply chains can be weaponized overnight. On the northwest edge of Greenland, a remote outpost stands guard over the polar horizon. Pittafik Space Base, still known to many as Thule, anchors the most northerly United States military installation on Earth. Its location is no accident. The shortest path for intercontinental ballistic missiles from Russia or China to North America arcs straight over the Arctic. Early warning here is measured in minutes, not hours. The radar arrays at Pittafik scan the frozen sky, tracking objects that rise from the curvature of the planet long before they approach North American airspace. This is the first line of defense for the United States and its NATO allies. During the height of the Cold War, the American footprint in Greenland was massive. Up to 10,000 troops rotated through a network of bases and listening posts, monitoring Soviet bombers and missile launches. Today, that presence has shrunk to about 150 personnel. The radar systems have been modernized, but the scale is a shadow of what it once was. One retired NORAD officer described Thule as the tripwire for Armageddon, a place where seconds of warning could mean the difference between survival and catastrophe. Greenland's geography turns it into a strategic lever. The island sits astride the Greenland, Iceland, and United Kingdom gap, a narrow corridor of ocean that funnels Russian submarines and warships toward the Atlantic. Control of this gap is critical for defending North America and securing transatlantic shipping lanes. The United States and its allies rely on Greenland not just for minerals, but as a sentinel against threats that move silently beneath the ice and above the clouds. The military value of Greenland is rising as climate change opens new Arctic routes and compresses warning timelines. Missile trajectories that once seemed theoretical are now part of regular defense planning. The sensors at Pitofik feed directly into NORAD's command centers, providing the earliest possible detection of a launch from across the pole. In a world where hypersonic weapons can cross continents in minutes, that early warning edge is priceless. Yet the garrison at Thule is tiny compared to its Cold War peak. The question now is whether this minimalist footprint is enough for an era of renewed great power rivalry. As the Arctic becomes more accessible, the strategic calculus is changing. Greenland's mineral wealth may draw headlines, but its value as a military outpost watching the northern sky remains just as essential. Foreign powers understand this. The contest for Greenland is about more than resources. It is about who controls the first alert and who holds the keys to the Arctic gateway. China's Arctic ambitions are no longer confined to theory. In recent years, Beijing has unveiled the so-called Polar Silk Road, a sweeping plan to integrate Arctic shipping lanes, mining sites, and infrastructure into its global Belt and Road Initiative. Official Chinese policy documents now label China a near-Arctic state, a phrase that signals intent as much as geography. The stakes are not just about trade. The Polar Silk Road is a blueprint to secure access to resources, open new shipping corridors as the ice retreats, and quietly build influence in a region once dominated by Western powers. Greenland has become a prime target in this strategy. Chinese companies, backed by state financing, have repeatedly sought stakes in Greenland's critical mineral projects. The most notable case centers on Shanghai Resources, a major player in China's rare earth supply chain. Shanghai has pursued investment and offtake agreements at the Kvanefjeld site, a deposit rich in rare earths and uranium. Though local politics have stalled the project, the episode exposed the intensity of the contest. Chinese capital is patient and persistent, returning with new offers as soon as restrictions ease. Beyond mining, China's interest extends to infrastructure with potential dual-use risk. Bids by Chinese state-linked firms to build or upgrade airports in Nuuk and Ilulissat triggered alarms in both Copenhagen and Washington. Civilian airports and ports, once in foreign hands, could serve as stepping stones for military or intelligence operations. Heather Conley, an Arctic security expert, has warned that the lines between economic and strategic activity are blurring across the region. For the United States and its allies, the Polar Silk Road is not just about commerce, it is a test of resolve. The risk is that China's slow advance will transform Greenland from a Western outpost into a contested frontier. In August 2019, the White House stunned allies by floating the idea of buying Greenland outright. Danish leaders dismissed the offer as absurd. Greenland's government called it offensive, a reminder that the island is not a commodity to be traded. Yet the proposal was more than a diplomatic outburst. It exposed a deep rift in how Washington and its partners viewed the future of the Arctic. That divide only widened as the decade progressed. On January 13, 2026, the Prime Ministers of Denmark and Greenland issued a joint statement rejecting renewed American pressure. Their words were blunt. Greenland is not for sale. No external power can decide our future. The message was echoed by European and NATO leaders, who warned that any attempt to force the issue would fracture alliances and violate international law. The legal structure is clear. Greenland is an autonomous territory within the Kingdom of Denmark. The 2009 Self-Government Act guarantees Greenlanders the right to self-determination. Any change in status, sale, transfer, or independence requires a referendum in Greenland and approval from the Danish Parliament. There is no backdoor, no loophole. For the United States, this reality narrows the menu of options. Washington can expand its military presence under the 1951 Defense Agreement, invest in Greenlandic infrastructure, or deepen economic ties through NATO and bilateral channels. But outright acquisition is off the table unless Greenlanders and Danes both agree. As legal scholar Michael Byers notes, you can't buy another people. Sovereignty is not for sale. The US faces a crossroads. It can compete for influence through lawful means, basing rights, investment, and alliance building, or risk isolating itself by ignoring the rules that have anchored Western security for generations. Greenland now stands at the center of a new global contest, where climate, resources, and superpowers collide. As the ice recedes, pressure mounts. The next flashpoint in world order could be a frozen island few can name, but none can afford to ignore. What happens here echoes everywhere.